Turbo and 2K show.
What's up, 2K crew? Yes, it is that time of the week again. And yes, we are having a show this week. Thank you for everyone that's joining us, everyone on YouTube, everyone on Facebook. And if you are catching this on either a replay or on the audio side, thank you. And if you are on YouTube, go ahead and hit the bell, hit the subscribe button, and yeah, hit the bell, drop us a comment. We'll feature you on the show. Let's get a conversation started, even over on Facebook. 2Ks, I posted on the Facebook page. I actually put it on here. It was a wild weekend on my end. Speaking about me, what was it that stuck out to you the most? And Miss Denise says, "Go Lions! Wow, T Swift is a big deal, I guess." Yeah, I mean, especially when you're. I would venture out to say that Kelsey's kind of like the NFL version of Taylor Swift. Mm-hmm. So his pocketbook's just a tad lighter. Yeah. Just a tad lighter. Yeah. But give that time.
Which is crazy to think too, because you have Patrick Mahomes on that team, and you would think like he's the best player in the NFL. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't argue that. But he's like almost out polarized by his teammate because his teammate is very vocal. Obviously, is doing his thing with his own podcast and his brother, which is an amazing podcast. But you know, he's the more vocal one, to where Patrick doesn't really do a whole lot of talking. He just shows up and does the same thing every Sunday in the NFL, and you know, probably one of the most amazing players I've ever seen in the NFL, but. And then on top of that, you know, with Kelsey, you can sit here and talk about, you know, just who he is and as a person and how, you know, polarizing he is. But he's also a phenomenal football player himself.
Yeah, it's both him and Mahomes are going to be in the conversations of the greatest ever at their position. So
I already, and I've said it on this podcast plenty of times, and I'll say it again. Travis Kelsey is the best tight end I've ever watched.
Oh, hands down. But 2Ks, before we get too far into this, we have a little read here. Do you have any plans September 30th, 2Ks?
September 30th?
It's next Saturday. Because if you don't, the Oktoberfest is coming to Marcellus. Brought to you by the Marcellus DDA. So break out the lederhosen. Like I said, it's September 30th from 3 to 9. In Columbian Park, which I did not know that was the name of that park, adjacent to the former Tailgater building. And you might ask, what is Oktoberfest? Well, from 3 to 5, they're going to have a cornhole tournament, vendors, and family-friendly activities in Village Commons, adjacent to the Village Hall. 4 to 9, food trucks on Main Street. Who doesn't love a good food truck, 2Ks? 5 p.m. beer tent opens, which I think is the major factor in any Oktoberfest. 6 to 9, music by PT and the Cruisers. Check them out on YouTube. There's a link here, but it's PT and the Cruisers. Go ahead and look them up. And yes, there will be beer, which we already mentioned, which means you must be 21 or older. A valid ID must be present to security when entering into the event. Pre-sale tickets. $15. It not only gets you in the gate 2Ks, but it gets you 2 beer tickets, which is awesome. Can't find them. They are all over town, or you can go to... it doesn't have it on here. If you're around town, there's a little scan guy here. You can scan it, and it'll take you right to Eventbrite, and you can purchase tickets. Like I said, $15 each pre-sale. Day of, $20. Cash only includes 2 beer tickets. The on-site beer tickets, 3 for $10, 1 for $4. Cash only. Please note, no refunds will be given at this event. You want to know what makes me excited about this, 2Ks? Listen to these beers. Mm-hmm. Listen to these beers. Of course, you have to have an Oktoberfest. You have to. Bell's makes a pretty good one. Mm-hmm. Bell's makes a pretty good Oktoberfest. You're going to have St. Julian Cider, Miller Lite,
all right,
and question mark. So you know what that means? No PBR. No PBR, which means no headaches, no nastiness the next day. Bluegill Frolic. But now that that's out of the way, 2Ks, let's jump into this and let's just rip the Band-Aid off. It wasn't a very good night for me last night. Let me back up. It wasn't the outcome that I had wanted, predicted. Was it a good game? Yes. Overall, was it a very good game? Yes. Ohio State's a very good team. Was it a good litmus test for Notre Dame? Yes, because I have that game gave me the kind of hope that Notre Dame can compete with the top-notch teams. Will we beat all of them? Probably not. But to at least compete, which is vastly different from the last coaching era, where we would get into games like this and just get blown out. But overall, I think the Irish played very good. Was there some slip-ups? Sure. There was a couple fourth downs that I think if we would have came away with field goals instead of trying to go for it, the outcome might be a little different. But and obviously the 10 guys on the field at the very last play of the game. You would think with that many coaches, that many people on the sidelines, that type of stuff would just be non-existent in 2023.
Yeah.
But there was a shit ton of recruits there. I mean, top recruits. Is it safe to say that, or is after losing this game, is Notre Dame window closed to win a national title in the next 5 years? No. I think this is the start of something amazing that Coach Freeman is putting together. Is it going to take more than 2 years? Yes. Did he catch lightning in a bottle getting Sam Hartman? Absolutely. Just the fit, what he brings to the table. The only thing that really worried me about Hartman was his passing yards. I mean, but then again, the score was 17-14. So yards were hard to come by. And probably the gold star in everyone's just in their hat is we pretty much contain Marvin Harrison Jr. When's the last time he had less than 50 yards receiving? However, Ibuki went off because in their tight end, good Lord, the dude catches everything. But no, I was before we went live, I asked you. I said, did this Ohio State team kind of put on blast the inexperience of that Notre Dame receiving crew, or is this Ohio State defense pretty legit?
I think the Ohio State defense is pretty legit. I think it's a difference. Them kind of getting kicked in the teeth a couple times in a row by Michigan last game of the season these last 2 years. I think they've kind of sat back, changed their identity a little bit. And this defense is completely different. I truly believe now they're going to have to face some more high-profile offenses here, and we'll see how they hold up against those. Just because I think Notre Dame's defense is very, very good. Also, I don't think Notre Dame's offense is very, very very high-powered. I think they can control the ball, they can control the tempo, they have a very good running game. But like you said, I think there is a lot of inexperience there at wide receiver. But we'll see how that goes. You talking about Notre Dame though, not being done for the next 5 years. I don't think Notre Dame's done this year.
I don't think so either.
They have more good games on their schedule where they go out and they beat USC, they beat Clemson.
We got to beat Duke this
beat
week.
Duke, a very good Duke team that they've been one of the better teams in college football throughout the beginning of this season. And the other thing I look at is there's not really a team that just sticks out to me right now as being overpowered, dominant. Like Georgia, they haven't played against anybody, but they haven't really, dominated their opponents. Number 2, Michigan, they haven't dominated anybody. And if anything, I think they've kind of looked a little bit so far, where we're at this point, but they haven't played anybody either. Then you got Florida State. They had after their first win of the season against LSU, everybody was saying that they're a Final Four team. They haven't really been as good since then either. They won a close one yesterday in overtime. So they've slipped up a little bit. So they're just not a team that really sticks out to me to where I think there's going to be opportunity for teams with a loss to still get into that playoff.
Now, what really intrigues me is that if the 12-team playoff was this year rather than next year, because like you said, there isn't that dominant powerhouse that we've seen in previous. I mean, Alabama. I mean, they are not the Alabama.
There's a lot of question marks there. I mean, their defense came came to the party yesterday and they looked really good on defense against Ole Miss, but there's some question marks on that offensive side of the ball and at quarterback, especially to me. I don't think that Alabama's a team that is going to be competing for a playoff spot, especially with it only being 4 teams.
Yeah, that's even the games that they've won have not looked pretty.
No, and I mean they're going to face more really good offenses, obviously playing in the SEC.
Sure.
The rest of the season, so I don't think that they come out of this with only the one loss they have right now. I think they lose another one, possibly 2 more.
Hell, they almost lost last week. They almost lost last week. And speaking of last week, I caught a lot of hate and a lot of shit from a lot of people going into the big house last week. And more or less wearing a Michigan shirt in the big house. Now, my mom didn't raise an idiot. Was I comfortable in said shirt? No. Will I wear it casually out and about? No. But when you go to a sporting event like that, and shout out to my boss Brad for hooking me up with the tickets. I mean, they were amazing tickets. And we got to see, I would have never known, but you told me that it was the first night game where they used the LED lights, which was fucking awesome. Which was awesome, by the way. But, I even got in-game hate from you. You told me I was bad luck and get the hell out of the stadium.
Well, yeah. I mean, McCarthy comes out. McCarthy looks flawless in his first 2 starts of the season.
He looked terrible.
And then just completely. It was almost like they started slow, and he was trying to make up for it with every single pass, and he was pressing. And when that happens, it normally leads to 2 interceptions. And what do you throw? 3 of them?
I think 3 total. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 of them in the first half, and. Eventually they got back to what they do best and just run the football on that defense. To me, I mean, from what I've seen so far, and I know they haven't played against anybody, but that defense is top notch.
And now to answer some questions that I've received as well, saying that, the first game after you wear a Michigan shirt, Notre Dame loses. Well, you know what? I was wearing said shirt on the way to Ann Arbor while the Notre Dame game last week was going on. And what happened? They won. So yesterday's loss had nothing to do with my attire, had nothing to do with where I was last week. It was just Notre Dame went up against a better team yesterday. Now, what would really be cool is if somehow we could play that game 5 times and see who gets 3 out of 5. Yeah. That would be very interesting. Yeah. Very interesting.
One thing, and there was a lot of situations in that game last night, but it's almost a question that I have throughout all of football because I notice it on Sundays watching NFL games. I notice it in college games. It seems like, if you go back like 5-6 years ago, coaches they would always take points. They always would take the points, and then when you get into the last 5-6 minutes of a game, okay, maybe we're forcing our hand. We gotta go for it. And so many times, in games that I've watched, and last night with both teams, in situations on a 4th and 1, and points were hard to come by in that game. Obviously, with the final score being what it was, they were hard to come by. To me, in situations like that, if you have a defense and you just know you can't make a stop, and this game's in the 30s, 40s. And you got to go for it. Okay, I could probably jump on board with that because you can't trust that your defense can stop them, and you can't trust that you're going to get the ball back.
Yep.
But in situations last night where points were coming so hard, so hard, to me, when you're in the 3rd quarter or you're in the beginning of the 4th quarter and you have an opportunity at a 30-yard field goal, 20-some yard field goal, you got to take those points. And then when you have the ball, at the end of a ball game, because there was a time. This goes to Ohio State. Ohio State with like 5 minutes to go in the game, they're trailing and they're down there and they go for it and Notre Dame stuffs them on it.
Yes.
They kick a field goal there, they make it a 1-point game, then a field goal wins the game in the end. And they chose to go for it, not get it. Now, luckily, everything worked out. But I'm thinking, if they kick that field goal, it's a 1-point game. Now, when they're driving in the end, all this goal line shit that happens, and them last play of the game scoring a touchdown,
you wouldn't need it.
You don't need it. You have a field goal, you kick the field goal, and you win. So, but you see, it's like the new era of football now. Is everybody is going for it. It's the analytics. So you're looking at the analytics.
Thank you, Brandon Staley.
Yep.
Which almost bit him in the ass today, yet again.
Oh, it's
yet again.
How many times? Yeah, how many times has it bit him in the ass? So it's just like it's kind of crazy to me. Look, these guys know more about football than I ever will dream of. But it's just sitting back as the fan and just watching football, it's like, man, what happened to the take the points when you can get them?
Well,
Mentality. It
it's
just
easy.
seems like that's out the window now.
7's more than 3. That's what everyone says. But you know what? 3 is more than 0. Whoever says that argument tends to forget the second part of that. That yes, indeed, 3 is more than 0. But before we move on, I want to get my rant out, which I don't think I've even let you in on this. And then I've got one key question about this game, and then we'll move on to the rest of the college slate. And I actually have a tweet here. This is from Freeman Era on Twitter. Let me give you the kind of the backstory here, 2K, since you can't see the screen. Immediately after the the game, Ryan Day goes up to the reporter and starts talking shit to about Lou Holtz, what Lou Holtz said. So I got on Twitter and I'm like, fuck you. You are a grown-ass man, and you need motivation from an 80-year-old dude, and then proceed to talk shit about him on national TV? Come on. So, in which I got a lot of hate on that. But to all the people that said I was a crying bitch, fuck you too. I wasn't crying, I was pointing something out and just saying how immature and stupid it was. But Freeman Era shares tweets a tweet from Tyler Horka, and it's just a picture of Lou Holtz is in the house at Notre Dame Stadium. And Lou Holtz needs help to literally stand. Ryan Day, take that, you son of a bitch. Huh? What now, Lou? I mean, come on, really? I get it that Deion's kind of made it a cool thing now, where you take motivation from wherever you get it. But when you're taking motivation from not even an interview, this was on Pat McAfee show earlier on Friday. Sure. Ty Schmidt was dressed up as Lou Holtz, doing his Lou Holtz impersonation, interviewing Lou Holtz, that was a lot of lisp, and thank goodness no one was standing in the middle because they would have got drenched from both sides. But Lou Holtz basically said that Notre Dame was a stronger, more disciplined team than Ohio State. Said that Ryan Day really wasn't a good coach. Last I checked, Lou Holtz has a national championship. What now, Ryan Day? What now, huh? Come on now. Come on. If you're gonna throw shade, at least throw it correctly. So that's my rant. That's my rant. And yes, like I said, a lot of folks on Twitter decided to come at me on that, but I had a feeling it was coming. But then again, there's a lot not even Notre Dame fans that agreed with me. They're like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
That was completely uncalled for.
Well, for one, just to start, you know how I feel about Ryan Day as it is. You know how I feel about really anybody involved with Ohio State. I think Jim Harbaugh said it perfect a couple years ago when they beat them, and he said that some people are born on third and think that they hit a triple. And that is Ryan Day in a nutshell to me. Yeah. Like, he was handed the keys to a Ferrari, and
he stalled it out every year.
And that is exactly what has happened. That team has stalled, and they have lost. When you are putting yourself on national TV after a game and calling out Lou Holtz, that is a low spot in your career right there. Yeah. I mean, if you're that's like going and arguing with Lee Corso.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought this was classless, and granted, had a few pops in me, so that probably fueled it a little bit, but I got on Twitter this morning, and there was a lot of folks backing me up, a lot of folks saying I was a cry bitch, but it is what it is. That's what people do on Twitter. Now, my question to you, 2Ks, and this is something, because we did not watch the game together last night. We really didn't even get to talk about it up until 10 minutes ago.
Well, I texted you last night.
Yeah, and I was pissed.
I texted with what was the last play of the game? Right before the last play of the game, I text you and what did it say?
How you doing, buddy?
No, what are you up to?
Oh, yeah.
What you up to?
Being pissed off. It's pretty much.
That was before. That was before the play even happened. But yeah, no, I was sitting at our house watching that game. Your brother was over,
Yeah.
And so I was hanging out with him and talking to him about it. And I was like, man, these games are so much easier to watch when you don't give a fuck about either one of these teams. But yeah, I mean, I feel your pain. I've been on that side. I've been in that situation. I know how that shit goes.
Now, with that being said, leading up to the game yesterday, avid Michigan fan like you are, were you? Because there's one of two outcomes you can root for, or three. The first one, you don't give a shit about any of it, which I know you're an avid sports fan, so that's not the case at all. Were you rooting for a Notre Dame win because you hate Ohio State, or were you rooting for Ohio State so that when they play Michigan, both are undefeated and Michigan pretty much holds the keys to their own destiny?
I would have rather seen Notre Dame win that game because I absolutely hate Ohio State, and there will never be a day that I will ever root for Ohio State to win a football game or win anything, win a fucking cross-country run. I will never root for them on anything. So, no, I would have – and you know what? This is the thing, and I've always said it. Obviously I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I have a lot of friends that are, so sometimes it's fun to sit back and just root for them to lose. Just because then you have that one up, when you're talking with your friends.
Yeah.
And but I've always respected Notre Dame, and I really like Freeman. There's just not much that not to like about the guy. And now Notre Dame was very easy to not like when they had Brian Kelly.
Yes.
Brian Kelly, I did not like. I thought he was a fucking phony, and Notre Dame fans would defend that motherfucker.
Me being one of them. Until
all the time, and then when it all went down and he showed his true self, and then Notre Dame fans were like brokenhearted. And I think as an outsider looking at it, it was just like, how were you guys blind to this the whole time?
It's easy. It's easy. And then once he got down to LSU and his family, which ironically enough, he's been down there for over a year, does not have the accent.
No.
Which is weird. Which is weird. But yeah, no,
coaches that put themselves before that they're more important than the players on the field. I have a hard time with that.
Yeah, and it did take a big step. It did take, especially being someone who was in the heat of the moment, had to take a step back. And now it's like that was the best thing that ever happened. I mean, for one, Kelly's gone. We got to really see for all that had blinders on. We got to see his true person. And I think we got probably the best coach, hands down, for the position.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I
phenomenal. I mean, Notre Dame's not going anywhere. One, it's Notre Dame. You can walk into somebody's living room with Notre Dame apparel on, and you're going to land a lot of your recruits just because it's Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But he's a great recruiter, and because of that, they're always going to put a good team on the field.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see what CJ Carr can do here coming up in the future, and the kid Deuce that's the 2025 quarterback recruit. So I'm definitely not saying the door is closed on any national title hopes for the next 5 years, and like you mentioned, probably not even this year. But 2Ks, let's. Now that we're done beating that dead horse, and I got to get a lot off my chest. I now feel better. Let's hop around the. Actually, before we do that, let's look at the AP top 5 or top 25. Georgia remains on top. Michigan 2, Texas 3, Ohio State jumps to 4. Florida State drops to 5. Penn State up to 6. Washington 7. Man, they kicked the shit out of Michigan State, didn't they? USC 8, which I'm kind of shocked they dropped a little bit. Oregon up to 9. Oklahoma 10. No, it's Utah 10, excuse me. Notre Dame 11. Alabama 12. Again, Alabama out of the top 10 is not something we see all the time. Followed by LSU, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Washington State, Duke. Again, seeing Duke in the top 25 and is rather odd, but well-deserved. Miami, Oregon State, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida, Missouri, Kansas, and I have no idea who that Bulldog is. Fresno State, maybe? Okay. So just kind of an update as where we are here through week 5. And do I have any other ones? Nope. All the other tweets are for the NFL side of it. So you mentioned Michigan. Rutgers comes into the big house. Has a very quick score.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know more than found the game on the Big Ten network, and Rutgers is scoring already. I'm like, holy shit, this is, wow, okay. Yeah. That's the only points they score.
Yeah.
Michigan wins 31-7. Now, one of the questions that they brought up on the broadcast was, is it detrimental for Michigan's growth as a team to be playing this many kind of cupcake games right in a row to start the season, or is it beneficial to kind of work the bugs out for 4 games? What are your thoughts on that as a Michigan fan?
I mean, it's not something that I'm proud of by any means, but they've done it. It happens every single year. I mean, it's very, very rare that Michigan ever plays a really good opponent. Especially since the Notre Dame, rivalry is over. That was kind of like, if you go back when that was still going
this
on,
weekend or
it was
next
normally
weekend.
always like week 3, week 4 when that was happening. So that was kind of the the true test where you saw, okay, what is this team all about? What do they have? But I don't think it hurts them any. Like I said, they did it last year. And they were fine. They went undefeated all the way up until the playoff. They did it the year before that. They did it. They had the slip-up game against Michigan State and lost that one. Then went on to beat Ohio State and make it to the playoff again that year. So I don't think it hurts them. I think I think it helps them. I think that in the beginning of the season, that the thing that we've seen so far with Michigan is. And I think it's why they haven't been covering a lot of their, if you're betting on them, they haven't been covering very much at all, is because you're seeing a lot of different players play. Yeah. They're not just playing, their 1s and their 2s. We're seeing a lot of 3s and 4s out there.
Which is a good thing.
And what Michigan has showed so far, and not so much on the offensive side of the ball, because I think the offense has been kind of shaky to this point, but on the defensive side of the ball, is they can basically make a hockey shift out there on defensive line and in the secondary, and you don't really even notice a difference. That's how good they are, especially up front on that defensive line. But they're gonna, I think they got Nebraska next week, and after that they followed up. The Big Ten's just there's not a lot of really good teams in the Big Ten, and the way that their schedule is, they have a gauntlet of a schedule, Big Ten schedule at the end of the year. That's when you're going to see them play against the Penn States. And obviously the Ohio State matchup, but then there's a Maryland game right in the middle of that. And Maryland,
I did not know up until this weekend
team too.
That Maryland's offense was as dominant as they are.
Yeah, Tua's little brother is
he's still there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean they just beat the brakes off of Michigan State yesterday.
Seems like he's been there longer than Bo Nix has been in college, which goes to say something. But yeah, Michigan really isn't tested. 31-7. We already talked about Ohio State, Notre Dame at length. Georgia takes care of UAB 49-21. Texas 38-6 over Baylor. You kind of mentioned the Florida State Clemson game. Florida State wins in overtime, 31-24. I was watching that game, and honestly, I was kind of shocked at how close it really was, because obviously it went into overtime. But how cool would it? Did you watch the end of that game, 2Ks, with the kicker and his story? Did you catch that? That was super cool. I had no idea, so of course I was rooting for him, and he shanks it. So then they go into overtime and ultimately lose. But Florida State takes care of Clemson, 31-24. Clemson again with 2 losses. USC handles Arizona State. To me, the shocker in the Big Ten 2Ks is Penn State shutting out Iowa. You would have thought at least Iowa's defense would have got 1 touchdown. Let me look at the box score on this one.
Iowa's offense is exactly what it's been.
Holy shit. They held Cade McNamara 5 completions for 42 yards.
Yeah. They have... and not that Cade McNamara is a world beater by any means. I think he's a step up from some of the quarterbacks that Iowa's had here in recent years.
Down.
But they have no receivers, no tight. They just have nobody that can gain any separation at all.
Are you shitting me? They had 76 total yards of offense. Wow.
I don't understand.
That's crazy.
How that offense has been what it has been in how many years in a row, and to never make any changes on that staff. Like,
Well,
that offense has been broke for years now, and a very, very good defense.
the offensive coordinator is the son of the coach. Go figure. Go figure. It's got to be an irritating feeling to be a Hawkeye fan because, yeah, that shit wouldn't fly anywhere else.
No.
Washington takes care of Cal, 59-32. Not a shocker here, but I was definitely pulling for Colorado just because I've jumped on the Deion bandwagon. But when it came to playing real opponents,
I'm so fucking sick of it already. Like, and you know how I feel about primetime. I love prime, and I always have, but I'm just fucking sick of it. They hadn't played against anybody. You know, TCU was. I understand that they were in the playoff, but there couldn't have been a better matchup for Colorado to start the season off because people think that they're good just because they were in the playoff last year, even though they lost basically that entire fucking team. And everybody knows TCU can't stop anybody. So going into that game, it was just a fucking field day for Colorado's offense and Colorado's defense. They can't stop anybody either, so they couldn't stop TCU. And so that game was just a complete shootout. And then after the Colorado State game last week, you know, Colorado State isn't worth a shit. Michigan, we talk about Michigan's cupcake-ass schedule every single year. Well, their first game of the season last year was Colorado State when it was 50-3. Michigan beat them 50-3. You know, they didn't need an overtime like Colorado needed to. So this fucking, like, I understand prime time and everything that he brings to the table, and obviously all the celebrities at these games, but give it a fucking break. And that shit yesterday, Oregon could have put up 100 points on that.
I'm surprised they didn't.
And
just for the shut up moment, because that pregame speech that Oregon's coach has.
Yeah. Look, he didn't gain a whole lot of friends, you know, with that speech. So I think it was probably a smart move on his part
to do it pregame.
To just call the dogs off at the beginning of the third quarter, because if he would have did what, you know, a lot of other coaches would have done, man, he would have been the talk of everything today. So I think it was a wise move to just do what he did, because like I said, if he really wanted to, they could have flirted with 100 points, because that's how bad Colorado's defense is.
And for those of you that missed the pregame speech, it went along the lines of, he says they're playing for clicks, we're playing for wins. So I mean, and he's not wrong. He's not wrong. But all in all, to be 3-1, if you're a Colorado team, yes, you don't have an easy one next week because you got USC, which offensively has more firepower than Oregon, hands down. So this could be 42-0 or 42-6 by halftime. Yeah. Which this ultimately was. My
question though for this whole Colorado thing is, where's it going after this year?
I don't know.
All these teams are gone. All these teams that keep, you know, what's left of the pack alive are gone now. So what happens with Colorado? I mean, yeah, they're probably going to switch to a different conference also. But where do they end up at, and how do they stay? I think they already are switching. Aren't they going to like the Big 12 or something? Why does that one make sense to me? I thought I had heard that before.
Colorado conference change. Big 12.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep.
But so it's just how do they stay afloat? Because with the way things are changing, it's the Big 10 and the SEC and
everybody else.
Yeah. And so
combination of the ACC and the Big 12.
Yeah. And they are, and it showed yesterday. And I think Oregon is really good. And I think Oregon's a team that we could potentially see in the playoff. I don't think they're any slouch at all. I'm more impressed with them than I have been in USC so far this year. So I think very, very highly of Oregon. But like, I don't see next week being any different for Colorado.
No.
And I think USC is going to beat the shit out of them.
Yes. And I last week's blog was centered around Colorado, and I said, it's rubber's going to meet the road starting this week. You have a gauntlet of a schedule. And came out with some winnable games, and for a 1-win team last year to have 3 already is a success. Now, did Deion bring a lot of this on himself and the team? Absolutely, 100%, every bit of it. But I think in this day and age, could be a very, very good recruiting tool for some folks. Not saying I'm not saying it's everyone's cup of tea, but
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not buying into it as much. Like he said after the game, like, you better get me now because this is your chance. You know, you better get me now. And I'm like, how are they going to get much better? Like, his son's not going to be the quarterback much longer, and I'm hard pressed to say that they're going to find a better quarterback than him.
Yeah.
You know, to get for that system, like your best quarterbacks are going elsewhere.
Yeah.
They're not going to go. They're going to be wanting to play in the Big Ten and the SEC, and you're not going to get a better athlete than Travis Hunter.
Which is a shame he was out.
Not
that he would have made a damn bit of difference in the outcome.
He was the number one recruit in the nation and ended up there just because of all the money that was thrown around and the Dion thing. But I just don't see that happening very often. I mean, you might get one or two of those, but I don't think that's gonna be a thing. So I don't know.
Do you see Dion staying at Colorado for a long time?
No.
Now there's rumors that are going around because him and a very established SEC coach have commercials together, and it's rumored that maybe he takes over for Saban when Saban's done. I'm not saying that's where it's going to go, but I mean, it only takes just one ridiculous internet sleuth to put 2 and 2 together and get you that. But let's keep rolling here. 2Ks. Utah handles UCLA in a close one, 14-7. Utah again without their starting quarterback. He hasn't played yet all year, so it'll be interesting. The backup's been kind of holding serve, so hopefully that kid can get back soon. LSU in a squeaker against Arkansas. I was watching this watching the score, and it was 34-31. It was close all the way down to the end. Brian Kelly gets through with the skin of his teeth to an Arkansas team that I didn't really think that was that good this year. We already talked about Saban. He won 24-10 over Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. The battle of the Pac-2, Washington State beats Oregon State 38-35. And let's see here. There's a ton of other ones here. That's kind of the last close one there, 2Ks. North Carolina handles Pitt 41-27 or 41-24. Duke beats UConn 41-7. Miami beats Temple 41-7. Tennessee over UTSA 45-14. Florida beats Charlotte 22-7. So that's your recap there. Anything that really stood out? I mean, there really wasn't a whole lot of upsets, I guess you could say. Just because the Ohio State game pushed. I mean, I saw it walk to 4 at one point and down to 2.5, but pretty much stayed kind of even keel on 3.5. So if you did get it for 3.5, and you took the points, you won. Otherwise, you pushed. And speaking of bets here, 2Ks, this will be a good. I did not make one. I did not make a slide, so we'll just go over it here. I did post it on the Facebook group, so if you're not a part of the 2K Crew group on Facebook, facebook.com/group/2K Crew. I posted mine in 2K's parlay for Sunday Night Football.
Devontae's off to a good start.
Yeah, I picked Devontae Adams over 5.5 receptions. He has 4 currently. George Pickens over 4.5 total receptions. Whoops. You took Josh Jacobs anytime touchdown score and Jaylen Warren over 17.5 receiving yards. I'm assuming that, and Vegas is up 7-0. 7-0. So plenty of time for those to hit. And if you guys do want to follow us and get in on some of these, 2Ks and I we'll ride a hot streak there for a while, and then we go stone cold. So I wouldn't say ride us till the death, but definitely, and like I posted in the group, go ahead and ride along with us to make this kind of shitty Sunday night game a little bit more interesting. Speaking of the NFL 2Ks, let's hop over here and start off with the game that caused the thumbnail of the show. Now, I thought that For those of you that don't know, and if you don't know, I'm shocked. You must not have been on any social media or watched any TV today. Taylor Swift was in the suite in Arrowhead, ironically enough, sitting next to Travis Kelce's mother. Mm-hmm. And the rumors have been abound, and even on Pat McAfee's show, Jason said that yes, they were dating, even though Travis said they weren't. He just said that I sent her DM and said, I watched you put on one hell of a show in Arrowhead. Why don't you come see me put on one hell of a show? She does show up. I get a little greedy and take Travis Kelce 2 or more touchdowns for plus 500. Mm-hmm. He only gets 1. But he had to get 1.
You knew he had to get 1, and he didn't have one at halftime.
No,
that
he
game
didn't.
was already over at halftime,
yes.
And he comes out and gets 1 right off the bat, and it was like, I'm sure that obviously it wasn't like a very serious halftime. You already knew the game was in the bag. They looked fucking phenomenal in the first half, just doing what they always do. So I'm guessing that they were probably hit the drawing board at halftime just to set up that Travis Kelce touchdown.
And it's funny you mentioned that because Paul Pabst from the Dan Patrick Show tweeted, the way this is going, Andy Reid can let Kelce shower up at halftime and head upstairs. And ironically enough, my tweet from a minute prior to that said, can the Bears fire the entire coaching staff at halftime? Because that game was absolutely terrible. Chiefs win 41-10. However, kind of a little scary moment in there, 2Ks, when Mahomes' ankle gets nicked up. I was actually shocked to see him play at all in the second half.
It seems like that shit happens, though. How many times have you seen Mahomes limping over to the sideline, grimacing in pain, and you think oh, we got this guy. Yeah. And then he just fucking throws 3 more touchdowns on you and hobbles all over the field and rushes for 30, 40 yards and gets out of a sack 3 or 4 times.
But he
didn't
need to in this game.
It's so fucking frustrating playing against him in fantasy football. And he after the first drive of the game, he's limping over the sideline. You're like, oh, I fucking got this. I got this.
Nope.
And then he just makes you look like a complete fucking fool and throws so many touchdown passes that are not needed.
No.
How many times does he throw a touchdown pass when they're up by 3 scores and just throws another one on you just to fucking make you feel even worse about your fantasy team?
Now, what I thought interesting was, obviously, I guarantee the whole team and coaching staff knew of Miss Swift up in the booth, up in the box, and the first probably 3 or 4 touchdowns were rushing touchdowns. Mm-hmm. It's maybe a little jealousy from Mr. Mahomes. I mean, possibly, but I highly doubt it. But good on you, Trav. Good on you. Brownies 2Ks. 27-3 over the Titans. I'll be the first to admit I barely have watched either one of these teams. I do know that Deshaun Watson has played like garbage leading up to this game. Let's check the box score. Browns. He went 289, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So did not play horribly. Wow, Derrick Henry only had 20 yards rushing. For those of you that had him on your fantasy team, you're probably not happy. kind of a big dick game here, 2Ks. Lions over the Falcons, 20-6. I watched the entire game of this, and the score didn't really indicate how dominant the Lions were over the Falcons. Now, granted, the Falcons came in at 2-0. The Lions came in at 1-1. And I kind of expected a little bit of a closer game. I think I'm allergic to talking about the Lions. But the Lions do what they had to do. Defense played great. Offense played very good. So if you're a Lions fan, you were definitely... I'm sure Joe Mater was very ecstatic about this game. And really a big bounce-back game for the Lions.
Oh, a huge game to me for the Lions, especially after the game last week that they kind of just pissed away with the Seahawks, and then all the injuries that come from that game. It was like, this is a beat up team heading into this game. There was some questions on how healthy is St. Brown. Fucking goes for over 100 yards a day. He's healthy. Yeah. This coming out party of Sam Laporta, as a tight end from Iowa. Man, he has been phenomenal. I mean, that is a big time bright side for Detroit Lions fans. And then defensively, I mean, look, I know the Falcons are not a high-profile offense. They want to run the football, and then Detroit has been in the last couple of years. They've been pretty good.
Bijan Robinson.
They shut down the run. I mean, and they've been good at that. It's the secondary being able to hold up to the pass. This is not a very high-profile offense as far as being able to throw the ball over the place. Desmond Ritter's not very good. Not a whole lot of good receiving talent on that team. But they did their job today. I mean, the Falcons, they were able to turn the Falcons over late in the game, and something that Detroit has not been able to do at all. It's a different feel around Detroit. It really is. The close ball games, just in the last however many years, Detroit just seems like they always were able to find ways to lose those games. And you have a close ball game with the Chiefs in Week 1 this year. They're able to win that. Unfortunately, they gave that one away last week, but then today another close ball game, and they find ways to win it. They put the drives together and put points on the board, and then the defense is able to turn the Falcons over today. So it's a different feel.
They're the brand new Lions. Another statement game, 2Ks. It was at Lambeau Field. Packers were down 17-0 going into the fourth quarter, and Jordan Love leads them back to victory 18-17.
This is, to me, is the most impressive win of the day.
I agree.
There's not a team in the NFL. We just talked about how the Lions are beat up. There's not a team in the NFL that's more beat up than this Packers team.
It seems to be the mantra that, and it doesn't matter if Aaron Rodgers is there or not. It just seems like the injury bug consistently bites his Packers team.
This has been nothing but an uphill battle for Jordan Love to start his career as the starting quarterback. I mean, from the very beginning of the season, you don't have Christian Watson, who's your best wide receiver. I mean, he had his coming out party last year, and proved it and proved to be Aaron Rodgers' favorite target. So. Very good wide receiver, and through 3 weeks, he hasn't even touched the field yet.
Nope.
And Aaron Jones had a very good game against the Bears Week 1, but he hasn't been out there. He's been with a hamstring injury also. Bakhtari, your left tackle, one of the best left tackles in the game, been out the last 2 weeks. I mean, that's your quarterback's best friend right there. And to not have him. And then today, I mean, I know the Saints are not a high-profile offense, but you're still without Jair Alexander, your best cornerback today, and you find ways to win that game. I mean, you go into the fourth quarter today down 17-0 against a fucking stout Saints defense, and you're able to put up 18 unanswered points and win that game. Is the most impressive win of the day.
Now, mind you, and I'm not arguing that fact one bit, but I was it the third quarter that Derek Carr went out with a shoulder?
Yeah.
Okay, so
famous Jameis comes in, and a little bit of a different story, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, famous Jameis comes in, but you can't make that excuse. This is the NFL, and the Packers. They, like I said, they got more injuries than anybody, and they're not making excuses. And this is the thing. These guys are going to get healthy. I expect Aaron Jones to be back within the next week or two. I expect Christian Watson to be back. I don't think it's anything super serious with Jair. Bakhtari and the knee, that's been an issue the last couple of years, so who knows there. But look, going into the season, I think a lot of people thought, well, this is the Lions' chance. This is the Detroit Lions' chance. Aaron Rodgers is not in the division anymore. The Bears are the fucking worst team in the NFL.
Hands down.
The Vikings are not, they're kind of going the opposite direction. The Vikings have started the season off 0-3. This is not going to be an easy run for the Lions. I think this Packers team is going to compete with them all the way down the stretch.
I did forget a Lions graphic here, 2K, so let's this is going to back up your point about the defense. This is from Jim Costa. Lions defense today had 7 sacks, 7 pass breakups, 8 quarterback hits, 11 tackles for losses, 0 touchdowns allowed. Falcons held to 44 rushing yards, no run longer than 11 yards. So yeah, that's I don't care who you're playing; those are big time numbers. Led by number 97 himself, who is just dominating every offensive line that he's been playing against.
And you know what? One of the best parts about this whole thing is we're talking about the Lions and the Packers, and we get to watch them on Thursday night because they play against each other.
Yes.
In Lambeau Field, that should be a good one. I'm very, very curious to see if we see Aaron Jones back, and if we see Christian Watson back on the field. I mean, it's a short week,
sure.
But that's going to be the true test. I mean, to see these two teams face off against each other. I've been very impressed with both teams.
Me too.
For Green Bay to be 2-1, at the beginning of the Jordan Love era, and for Love to not have 2 of the best players, they won that game today, and you can make a case that their 4 best players on that team were not on the field.
Yep. We know whose best players were on the field, 2Ks? The fucking Dolphins.
Oh, jeez.
Hang a 70 piece on the Broncos, 70-20.
I fucking love this shit. I love this shit. And you know what? I think this is a little bit personal. Sean Payton comes out and at the beginning of the season and with his comments about, the former coach there in Denver and how bad, embarrassingly bad that was. And look, whatever. But I think there's a bro code in the NFL that you just don't talk about other coaches and you don't, especially when they're not around to defend themselves. And I thought that was a very, very just like fucking low moment for somebody that has so much history and has been such a good coach in the NFL for as long as he is. What is he doing making a comment about a guy that was, his first head coaching tenure, and obviously it went bad, and he knows that. But what are you doing taking that shit public and saying that? And I think that kind of put I think there's coaches in the NFL that did not like that, and I think they thought that was complete fucking bullshit. And our boy, fucking Mike McDaniel, fucking G, comes out and just beats the fucking shit at 70 points, 70 fucking points. I mean, and it wasn't like they were just throwing. I mean, they threw the ball enough because he still Tua still throws for over 300, but they have two running backs that the one, A-Chain, who's not even the starting back there, rushes for over 200, has 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Mostert has 3 touchdowns. I mean, they just completely demolished this Denver team. And look, I saw a lot of bad things last season out of that Denver Broncos team. A lot of very embarrassing moments out of that Denver Broncos team. I never saw anything as embarrassing as that shit show I saw today. So fuck you, Sean Payton.
It's not very often you see a professional team beat another professional team by 50 points and drop a 70 burger on them. So, yeah,
That's just fucking
huge McDaniel
pathetic.
fan. Huge McDaniel fan.
Yeah, how do you feel getting 70 points hung up on your ass, and you look across the field and the coach has got a pair of fucking capris on?
Allegedly hitting a vape every now and again. Chargers go to Minnesota. And it seems like 2K's no one wanted to win this game. They were both winless going into this, and we already talked about the going for it and fourth down snafu and scenario that ultimately almost lost the Chargers the game, but they come away with a 28-24 victory. Just a nasty game in New York. Patriots over the Jets, 15-10. Didn't watch any of that, but judging from my Twitter, that's not a good situation over there in New York. And quite frankly, I don't think having Aaron Rodgers in there would do much better. Yes, he is better. He is a better quarterback than Zach Wilson. But
I just don't think you're going to see. Well, for one, this Jets defense is fucking for real. They are for real. But I think the whole, and it's hard not to have this happen, but when a quarterback as good as Aaron Rodgers goes down, I think it's hard for every single position group in the whole system not to just take a step back.
Sure.
Because I think the expectations this season, actually, I know the expectations this season were our defense is good enough to win it all. And with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, you have to expect your offense is good enough to win it all also.
And they have the pieces to do it, except for the offensive line.
Yeah, the offensive line was the only thing that going into it that was bad. But when you have a very, very good quarterback that's known for getting rid of the ball and getting rid of the ball really quick, that you can make up for that a little bit. And unfortunately, the way that things played out is, I don't give a fuck because I hate the Jets, but I just think this whole team has taken a step back all through. I don't think the defense has been as good. I think, and on top of that, Zach Wilson is the worst quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, well, maybe Justin Fields.
Justin Fields has some excuses because he's got dog shit for coaches.
Yeah,
I don't think the coaching staff with the Jets is that bad. But oh man, Zach Wilson is fucking terrible.
Yes, he is.
And the thing is, when you suck that bad, take the fucking bandana off your head and all that shit, and just go out there and look like somebody that sucks. Don't try to church it up and make yourself look like you're fucking good, because that is awful.
Look like someone who sucks. I love it. Bills have a big bounce back game against the Commanders, 37-3. Kind of the Bills team that we were all kind of expecting throughout, leading into this game. I think the Bills might have exposed the Commanders for not being as good as they actually are, because the Bills came into this game 1-1, Commanders 2-0, and Bills dropped dick. And speaking of dropping dick, 2Ks, is this Texans team for real? It beat the Jags 37-17, and we were talking about. Let me see if I can grab this here. Nope, it's gone. But Adam Schefter tweeted that C.J. Stroud is one of like 5 quarterbacks in their first 3 starts to throw for over 900 yards. He goes 20 for 30, 280, 2 touchdowns in a 37-17 victory against the Jacksonville Jags. Which, I mean, yes, I get it any given Sunday. Mm-hmm. I get that. But this Jags team, 2Ks, I thought was going to be better than this. I thought they're going to be better. Another year, Trevor Lawrence take that next step. I mean, they had a playoff win last year. You got a healthy ETN, which goes for almost 100 yards today. You've got a plethora of wide receivers to throw to, and even when healthy, Evan Ingram is one of the best tight ends in the league. Christian Kirk, ETN out of the backfield, Calvin Ridley. I mean, it seems like the weapons are there. They're very, in my opinion, very well coached. It's just I'm definitely not in on are the Texans real, but I definitely think there's something going on that we might want to keep an eye on down there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, there's no question they got the best quarterback. There's no question there because C.J. Stroud has been. I don't like praising Ohio. I don't like praising Buckeyes, but he's been damn good. Damn good to this point, and. I think the change with D'Amico Ryans, D'Amico Ryans becoming the head coach there, I think has changed that whole thing around. It looks like a team that I don't think they're very good right now, but man, they're gonna play everything down and they're gonna play hard and to the end of all these games. And this isn't gonna be an embarrassing team that only wins a couple games this season. I think this is a team that wins, 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think they got the. The boat going in the right direction, that's for sure. Speaking of rookie quarterbacks, 2Ks, the Colts are without Anthony Richardson today. Get a big win against the Ravens in Baltimore, 22-19. Pretty much the star of the show here is Matt Gay, who was unconscious kicking the ball. But Gardner Minshew does his thing and gets a big win there. Seahawks over the Panthers, 37-27. And what happened to your boys, 2Ks? What happened to your boys?
They just looked bad. This is the thing. Dallas does this shit all the time. They look really, really good for 2 or 3 weeks in a row, like maybe the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
And then they play against an opponent that fucking sucks, and they play to their level, worse than their level. And today it was complete dog shit. And I don't like to make excuses, but you have the news that comes out, the unfortunate news, especially if you're a Dallas fan, with Diggs getting hurt this week in practice, and tears the ACL, obviously out for the season. I think it's very easy to just come out and lay an egg after something major like that happens, especially one of the best cornerbacks in the league.
Yeah.
To go down in a practice in the middle of the week, but this is the NFL, and injuries happen, and you can't come up with excuses like that. I don't expect this team to be this bad, very much. I still think that they are a playoff team. I still think that they're a potential Super Bowl contender when it's all said and done. That defense is going to get back to it. So many mistakes today, too many penalties. Play calling was a little bit questionable at the end, but you have these in the NFL. I mean, it seems like every week you see the 2 or 3 games, and when you're looking at box scores at the end of the day that just don't make much fucking sense to you, and this is one of them to me that it just doesn't make sense to me. But hey, kudos to the Cardinals.
Yeah,
they fucking went out and played a damn good game.
Especially James Conner. came to play. What's up, Miss Brenda? How are you? Brenda said hi. Let's talk about Thursday's game, 2Ks. 49ers in a bloodbath over the Giants. I think that's pretty much all we need to say there. The 49ers look like they're just picking up right where they left off last year. Yeah. Brock Purdy's still a dude. That whole team is just a wagon. It's going to be exciting to watch them.
The Dolphins have been the best team in the AFC to me that I've watched to this point, and the 49ers have been the best team in the NFC that I've watched to this point.
Hands down.
And the other thing too, just to make a point on real quick, leading up to this fantasy draft this year, I just was questioning like who am I going to take? Who am I going to take with the first pick? If I had the first pick, who do I take? And I kept on trying to come up with somebody different than Christian McCaffrey. And I was like, because it's the injury thing, right, with McCaffrey. When he's fucking healthy, there is nobody in this league. Fantasy-wise, and I'm not even just saying fantasy-wise, I'm saying across the board, other than Patrick Mahomes, and just because he's a quarterback.
Yeah.
There's nobody, and he has the ball in his hand in every single play, but there's nobody in this fucking league that is as good of a football player as Christian McCaffrey. If he's healthy and on the field, he can do everything. He does everything.
Now remember, 2K's coming into the league, he was too small.
Yeah. Now he's not too small anymore. The way he's fucking stiff-arming guys.
Yeah.
And
he's a beast. He's a beast, and that Niners team's going to be, hopefully they stay healthy, because that's a special team.
And they're a very special team, and you have to give a lot of credit to Purdy also. I know he took a lot of it last year. Everybody was so impressed with him, but to me, just with these first few games of the season, that's a complicated offense. There's not a lot of quarterbacks that can run through that Kyle Shanahan offense, just with guys moving all over the place and people in motion all the time. There's a lot of reads that need to be made, and it just seems like he always sees everything and is always working through progression and never late getting the ball out. And there's a lot of times where he's running through all the play action fakes, and he's got his back turned to everything, so you're not getting as much time to look at the field as what a lot of these quarterbacks are. And every time he makes that turnaround, and he knows exactly where guys are at, and he's not throwing to open receivers, he's throwing to open spots and making having his receivers make plays and trusting his receivers.
He's got some damn good ones.
It's oh yeah, absolutely. But it's impressive to watch. It's fun. It's fun football to watch, and the kid is a legit NFL quarterback.
How he fell to Mr. Irrelevant, I don't think any of us will ever be able to answer that. But let's get some picks on Monday night or tomorrow night's game, 2Ks. Eagles-Bucks. Eagles are 5-point favorite. It's the first game, the 7-15 game.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are still one of the powerhouse teams in the NFC. The Bucks, they've been a great story. They've played pretty good football at this point. Both of their wins are against teams that are not very good. Vikings obviously don't have a win. The Bears don't have a win.
The Bears aren't going to get a win.
Yeah, you're probably right. But Baker Mayfield's been promising. I mean, he's been all right, and
he's definitely outplayed Deshaun Watson to this point.
Yeah, I 100% agree. But I think at the end of the day, Philadelphia is just too good. I think Philadelphia wins this game. I haven't even looked to see what the spread is on that one.
5.
Is it 5?
Yep.
I would take Philly on that.
Me too. And the 8-15 game, Rams at Bengals. Cincinnati is a 2-point favorite in this one.
You said Cincinnati's a 2-point favorite? Wow.
Cincinnati's a 2-point favorite. And
what have we seen from Cincinnati to where they can be a favorite right now?
And that line blows my mind, considering.
Is it in Cincinnati?
Yes. But we don't even know if Joe Burrow is playing.
Yeah. And Matthew Stafford's been really good. I mean, I know the touchdown passes haven't been there, but as far as the passing yards have been there. And fuck this Puko Nakua or whatever his name is. I mean,
came out of nowhere.
We don't even need Cooper Kupp anymore. We got a new version of him, a younger one. And so
just imagine when Cooper Kupp comes back.
When they come back, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of like, I don't want to just throw my hand away, but I got Lamar Jackson in our podcast league, so I'm not really worried about it. But in a lot of leagues, Stafford's available to pick up, and if you have a quarterback like Justin Fields that you drafted and you're looking like shit, I think Stafford's somebody that you look at just because Cooper Kupp's got to be back here soon. Look, the touchdown passes are going to come, But it just seems like to this point he's throwing for 300. He's throwing the football a lot. He looks good. I mean, the guy can sling the football better than just about everybody in the league. So
Eckler is still questionable for this game as well.
No, I think I'm going to roll with the Rams here. The Bengals have been complete fucking dog shit, and I can't come up with anything positive about them to this point. Now, I think eventually they're going to play their way out of this, and I still think that they're, a playoff caliber team, especially when you got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon. I mean, there's just too many good names on this offense. Eventually they're going to get it. But from what I've seen so far from both of these teams, and the Rams being the underdog, I think the Rams come to Cincinnati, and I'd take this. I'd take Cincinnati on the money line.
I'm right there with you. All right. 2Ks, let's do some house cleaning here with some of the comments here. Your brother asks, when do I get to be on the show, brother? We'll work something out.
You can fill in for me next week.
We'll work something out. AJ from YouTube says that I need to change the title. It's Jason, not Travis. Or it's not Jason, it's Travis. Thank you, sir. I will go ahead and change that. Stupid AI developed titles. Brenda says, I'm good. Happy the Pack played well today. I didn't know Brenda was a Packers fan.
I think she's a fan of whoever's winning.
You never lose then. You never lose. Well, 2Ks, let's get to our top 5 here. This week's top 5 is top 5. And I sent this to you, and I wanted to be kind of specific because we've done top 5 like game time meals or game time snacks. This is tailgating food. Top 5 tailgating food. So pretty much, which is still kind of broad because I mean, if you've been tailgating here in the last few years, I mean, hell, I've seen sushi, I've seen everything else.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything you can think of is turned into tailgate food. But 2Ks, number 5 on your list of tailgating favorite foods, number 5 is?
I'll go hot dogs.
Hot dogs? Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
can't go wrong.
Simple, easy.
Mm-hmm. Can't go wrong.
It's every barbecue food. It's every
portable.
Anything. Yeah, portable. Absolutely.
You can have one hand on a beverage, one hand on a dog.
Yeah.
My number 5, I'm going to go with the walking taco for the same reasons. I mean, you eat it in the bag.
So easy to make.
Yes, and always good because you can put whatever you want to on it. So yeah, love me a good walking taco. You're number 4.
Number 4. I'm going to go the next step up from a hot dog. I'm going to go a bratwurst.
Can't go wrong with a brat either. Can't go wrong with a brat. Brenda does want to come in and says, no, my dad was a big Packers fan. He thought Vince Lombardi was the best coach ever. I have watched the Packers for 60 years, you punk. Love it. My number 4, let's see. My number 4 is going to be, I'm going to go chips and queso. Chips and queso. My mom makes probably some of the best cheese dip in the world, which is why I say that. Even though the chips part are not really diabetic friendly, but sometimes you got to splurge a little bit. You're number 3, 2Ks.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of go right up there with you. I'm not. I mean, chips and queso, one of them. I'm going to just say any chip dip, anything. Yeah, I can. I'm one of those people that especially like today, I mean, I'm not even tailgating. I'm just sitting at my house watching football all day long, but I'm eating every single kind of chip dip I can find in the house, or I'm making all these random kinds of chip dip, and that's what we eat for lunch and a lot of times dinner too.
Now, are you bougie AF and go like a spinach artichoke, or are you just like French onion?
No, I'm more like French onion. But like today, I did I actually put a little cream cheese, ranch, and hot sauce in the crock pot, so we had like a buffalo chicken dip.
Look at you!
Yeah.
Look at you, Betty Crocker.
You just throw it all in there and just forget about it for a couple hours, and be like, oh, what's that smell?
Set it,
shit,
forget
that's
it.
That dip I made.
Set it, forget it. My number 3, I got to go with the brat. I got to go with the brat. There's so many layers to brats, and now there's so many options when it comes to brats. If you want the best brats, go next door here to Ron Terrell at Terrell's Market. Makes his own. Highly suggest the mushroom Swiss. Ones from Swiss are really good. You're number 2, 2Ks.
Number 2, cheeseburger. Give me
Gotta
a burger.
love a burger.
Oh.
Again, options are endless.
It just seems like the burger is the perfect thing too, because when obviously tailgating, you're drinking beers. The cheeseburger just goes with the beer better than anything. So.
What are we on? 3?
2.
My number 2. I gotta go sub here.
Okay.
You get like the big Subway giant sub, cut you a little bit off, throw some mayonnaise or mustard on it.
I just can't. You know me now, like, well, no, I just can't do things that are cold.
You're so weird.
So.
You're so weird.
If it's like a Philly, like give me a Philly cheesesteak or something like that, that might be my possible number 1. But
you gotta bouge it up.
Anything cold, I can't jump on board with.
Well, 2Ks, let's not let the listeners wait any longer. What is your number 1 tailgating food?
Number 1 is easy to me. Most of the time when I go to a tailgate, I don't even worry about any kind of fucking food. So number 1 is Miller Lite for me. You'll never see me at a tailgate without a case of Miller Lite in my hand. So, Miller Lite for 1. I like to eat my food, my
drink your dinner.
Drink my dinner, whatever it is. Most of the time, if we're tailgating, it's breakfast, or maybe an early lunch. So,
because you guys have a ton of noon games.
Yes,
you guys have a ton of noon games. Mine is something very, very special, and I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Craig Cook. When we used to go tailgating down at Notre Dame, he would make some of the most fantastic potato soup for the last home game of the year. It was usually like the Boston College game, somewhere in there. Oh my God, dude would make 5 gallons of it, and if you didn't get any within the first 10 minutes, you didn't get any. And and at that point of the year, usually it's chilly enough where soup is a very good thing. Now, is it as portable and as kind of accessorized as like a burger or a hot dog or brat? No. But when it takes like hours to make it, yeah. And I want to give a big shout out to Craig Cook on that one for spoiling all of us at the tailgate with your phenomenal potato soup. Well, 2Ks, I think that about wraps it up, my man. We kind of gave the listeners a little bit longer, which is okay because you, my friend, will be is Miggy's last game is Sunday?
Yeah, I would be at Comerica Park next Sunday for Miggy's last game.
Give him a big. I mean, hell, you and Chell can splurge and get him the same thing that the A's gave him.
Yeah. What a fucking joke that was, right?
$80 bottle of wine. $80 bottle of wine.
To a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think that could have been. Really wasn't. I think it was like, oh shit, Miggy's in town?
Oh crap.
We better fucking get him something.
Now, on the other side of that, A's fans, if they would have gave him something kind of extraordinary and awesome, would have been like, yeah, you can give Miguel Cabrera that, but you can't make a stadium here. You have to move it to Vegas. So were they in a tough spot? Sure, but
if there's anything that we've learned too here in the last few years about Oakland is they're very, very fucking cheap.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's pretty much fucking par for the course.
Yeah, because if we made a list of players that were on that Oakland A's team, if they would have kept them, they probably would be challenging for an American League pennant because they let so many good players go. Yeah. So many good players. But 2K Crew, that is for a whole other show, which we probably will do leading up to the baseball season. And no, we have not forgotten about baseball. It's just that NFL and college is new. It's good. It's here. And we will probably get to, once the playoffs start, we'll do playoff baseball just same as we do football. So hang in there, baseball fans. Baseball is in our blood. So don't ever think that we're hating on baseball. It's just that there's a new toy that we want to play with, and eventually we'll get back to the old toy.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, it's no secret. I think a majority of the people that listen to us enjoy listening to us talk about football over everything else.
I tell you what, oddly enough, usually our baseball episodes get more pop than our football.
Really?
Yeah. We have a very good baseball crew here, and Brenda wants to chime in. It says it's been a thin slice of heaven, boys. Go blue. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you. Everybody else, we'll get you out of here on that. Everyone have a great week. And we will see you next week. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.